Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I thought I would jump on here and go live. First of all, to tell y'all happy Valentine's Day, whether you celebrate or not, just wanting to let you know how much I love all of you. I even showed up in my red today, but I wanted to wish you a happy Valentine's Day. Also wanted to get on as I'm feeling a little heavy in the heart. I don't know how many of you know who Dave Hollis is, quite an influencer, former executive at Disney. He has recently passed. Apparently, he was having some heart issues, and today would have been his birthday. He would have been 48 years old. And so I'm a little sad as I think about how young that is, 48. I mean, that's only 2 years behind me, right? I'll be 50 this year. And I think about oftentimes we keep postponing. Now, Dave was a force. If you knew anything about Dave Hollis, he was a force. He was this incredible light, and he showed up. He was living full out. And the news of his passing has me wondering how many of us are really living our life in full capacity. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk a little bit about inspired action today. I think, it's really interesting. We have a culture, and most of you know I really believe the ultimate 4-letter word is the word busy. And I'm going to translate that into buried under shoulding all over yourself, right? So it is all of the shoulding we do that oftentimes we're taking action for the sake of taking action. And so it's kind of like we have this mentality around hustle, 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 right? And the hustle is only good as the intention and the quality of what the hustle is about. And so I want to talk about inspired action. I want to talk about what it is, why it matters, and how do we get aligned to it, because action for the sake of action is killing you. It is killing us. It is killing our culture. It is creating this need to constantly be in motion. And it's creating this unnecessarily adrenalized pressure and wreaking incredible havoc on our nervous system. And some of you may know this already. But I hit rock bottom. Actually, I hit rock bottom a few times in my life, but I hit rock bottom really bad when I was still in my corporate career. I was working at GE Healthcare at the time. And I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. I was taking all kinds of action. I was hustling. I was like, there was a point where we lost a couple people on our team that I was not only carrying my region, I was carrying another region, and I was carrying an entirely different role as well. And so really essentially was carrying 3 people's action and activity. And it got to the point where I always joke that my autobiography will be titled Sleeping with My Crackberry. For those of you that remember, before we ever had iPhones and tablets and other things, we had these incredibly dense electronics that were Blackberries. They were solid, and legitimately used to sleep with it on my other pillow. I had a queen size bed. I slept on the left side. My pillow took my Blackberry took the right pillow. I was so afraid that something was going to fall through the cracks. I was in this constant frenzied, constant burnout, constant anxious space of just action after action after action. And I can even remember sitting in some of my reviews where, I got great ratings, and we would have conversations about how I needed to produce more. And my question always was, more of what? Is it just more stuff? Or is it something that's really going to move the needle forward? And there seems to be this misnomer, especially in the corporate space, but in a lot of organizations and in just the way we operate in business, that more is better. And I love because there's a book called Essentialism that came out, I don't know, years ago, that I love the message around less is actually more. And the idea that we need to stop thinking it's more, and any action is good action. What we need to do is find a way to get aligned to the right action that actually is going to help us create more ease and grace and space and time and flexibility and all of the things that we want. And so let's talk about inspired action. Inspired action is very different than just hustling. Inspired action is very different than just taking action. Inspired action is something we feel called. It propels us forward. It gives us a space that feels meaningful and sometimes scares the living life out of us, to be honest. That inspired action is that space of something inside of you, and this is dependent. And last week I had talked a lot about human design, and I'm going to continue to bring that through. We talked a lot about the 5 different types. We talked about their signature. We talked about their strategy. We also all have an authority, and there's 7 different types of authority on how we make decisions and how we know something is right for us. So, for example, I'm an emotional authority. I need to let something sit with me for a while before I jump in and take action around it. And so I will say, and 50% of the population has an emotional authority. Many of us get into what I will call the shiny squirrel syndrome, where something shows up and we're like, oh my God, yes, I want it. I got to have this, right? And we take action before we've allowed ourselves to really settle with it and get into a space where we can neutrally make a decision that really is resonating within our body. And so what we'll do is, and I'm so guilty of this, I will jump in before I've even given it a breath. And when I do that, 95% of the time, it kicks me in the ass, because it wasn't the action that really is the action I need to do. It was just another thing to put on my to-do list. And so many of you, and I love my Post-its. I'm always doing to-do lists. I've got all kinds of things that are going on. Oftentimes our to-do list is a list of action to take other action to take more action, right? And so when we get into this spiral space of, I got to do more, I got to do more, I got to do more, I got to hustle, I got to hustle, I got to hustle, I got to be busy, I got to take action. Any action is good. Let me just go. We pull ourselves out of a knowing in terms of what really our authority is saying to us and what are the right decisions to make so that the inspired action can drop in. So I'm going to give you an example. Way back when The Secret came out, and there's so many things I love about the movie The Secret, and there's so many things I don't like about the movie The Secret. One of the things I love about the movie The Secret is it really gets you into space around the power of your own mindset. It's the power of what you can manifest when, and these are some of the pieces that are missing in it, when you are energetically aligned to that which you were trying to call in. What's interesting though is I hear a lot of people that'll say, I watched The Secret and it doesn't work. I'm like, okay, so tell me a little bit more about it. I'm like, or they'll be like, I read the book. I'm like, did you read it or did you just read the back cover? Because what is interesting is oftentimes people will take action in one of 2 ways. They either take action in the space of, well, I declared what I wanted, and now I'm going to manifest, and now I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit on my ass, sit on my laurels, and I'm just going to wait. Okay, that doesn't really work. The other way they do it is they're like, okay, I said I want this, and now I'm going to go do everything and just hustle. And like, I'm going to come from this place of desperation and fear. And I'm going to come from a space that feels like I gotta take the reins. I got to control this. And they start steering a ship in a direction that's not aligned with the very thing they're trying to call in. And so again, it's that space of just taking action for action. What we're missing is the inspired piece. What we're missing is the alignment piece. And so I say that because what's missing in something like The Secret is the fact that, one, we need to energetically align ourselves. So we need to make sure our vibration, our frequency, that's one of the actions we have the opportunity. That is inspired action in and of itself. If you are trying to call something in, if you're trying to manifest something different in your life, if you're trying to make something happen, what you need to do first is, one, check into your own authority, check into your own design, check into your own mind to say, is that even something I really want? Because oftentimes we go after things we think we want because it's socially acceptable, or we've been shamed, or we're shitting all over ourselves. I want X. So we go after something that, first of all, isn't even a desire we really have. It is a social conditioned or program, something we think we should have because someone else put it out there, or someone else is doing it, or this is the prescription for how we're supposed to live our life. So that, first and foremost, is going to take you out of the game. When you go after things, when you set intention, when you take action on things that don't even light you up, you're already stuck. You're already going to find yourself frustrated, bitter, like all of the non-self stuff starts to show up if you look at, how you're wired in your human design. What's interesting though, so that's the first piece. First of all, does this even light me up? If I check with my authority, if I check with my strategy, is this lighting me up? Is this thing the thing? Or is this the thing I keep convincing myself of, and I'm shooting all over myself? And some of you may think I said something different. Either way, it's layers of crap you're burying yourself under. But you're shaming and shooting all over yourself around the things that you think make you successful, or the things you think you need to check the box to say, see, I look like everybody else and I've got this in my life. And the truth is, and it's interesting because I've sat down with clients before who will say things like, oh, I want a big house, or I want to get married, or I want to get this. And then like push comes to shove and we're really digging in and they're like, oh my God, I so don't want to get married. And I think about it, there was an interesting interview Oprah did once where she was talking about why she and Stedman never got married, even though we asked. She said, I realized I never wanted to be married. I just wanted to be asked. Think about that. There's a big distinction and it goes against everything in our culture because, you know, of course, it's Valentine's Day today and everybody should have a soulmate and be in a relationship and be married and have, you know, the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and whatever. We get sold this bill of goods, right? Now, I will tell you as a single woman, all of that is bullshit. I am my soulmate. I lost one of my soulmates. We have a lot of different soulmates in our life, and that's a whole nother topic. That being said, one of the reasons we can't create the inspired action, the action that is actually creating the alignment vibrationally and from a frequency level, is because we're not calling in the right thing. We see someone else with the shiny whatever. And it's kind of like if you're looking at Amazon or you're looking in a catalog, right? We see the thing that everybody else has and we think we need to have it too. We think something about it validates our own worth or validates the way we get to show up in our life. And so I say that because we have the opportunity for one to get clarity around, is this the thing I actually desire? Is this the thing? So that's the first thing. Inspired action will not hit if you are not even aligned to the thing itself. The thing you are trying to call in, and if it is not something that is lighting you up, it is not something that is feeling like a resonance in your heart, in your being, in your design, in your strategy, I guarantee it's not something you're going to find inspired action for. You're going to feel the drudgery. You're going to feel the push because you're doing something that's not meant for you. So the first piece is you got to know that the desire is the desire for you and not the desire other people are putting on you. So that's the first piece. The second piece is the inspired action is a function of us stepping into our strategy and authority. It's the ability to say, and I know, and there's been a big difference when I have given myself that space, that breath to say, oh, this is like a shiny thing. It's exciting. And tomorrow I may not be so interested. I need to ride that emotional wave to get to a place that I can get into a deep resonance within my core, in my sacral, because I'm a Manny-Gen. So I'm a manifesting generator. I get in that space where I'm like, ooh, does it still feel like it's humming in my sacral? And for those of you that generators, it's not even all the times this big resounding yes. Sometimes it's this little like, As an emotional authority, you got to ride that wave out. You got to wait until you're high. You got to wait until you're low. And you need to get to a place where you're like, do I still feel that vibration? Is it still visceral, right? Because again, first of all, if you're not going after the right thing in terms of it's not the thing that lights you up, it's not the thing for you, inspired action is never going to be part of the equation. And in order to find the right next step, the right path, and I think about Martin Luther King Jr. used to say all the time, you don't need to look at the whole staircase, you just need to look at the next step, right? We sometimes get so big and we want to go from 0 to 100. Oh my God, I want to call this thing in. Holy shit. Then we get overwhelmed because we start thinking about all the steps we got to take. And oh my God, I'm only here. How am I going to get to here? That's not where inspired action plays. Inspired action gets you to a space that says, what's calling to me now? So if this is the thing, and this is when we talk about, our big desires, and we get down into those 3 rocks, we talk about, let's break those rocks down then into these bite-sized little steps or these bite-sized chunks that say, if this is the ultimate. So I'll give you an example. Say you want to publish a book by the end of the year. We need to back that out to say, what are the main things that have to happen in order for that book to even be possible? One, you got to write the book, right? Hey, Terry. One, you got to write the book. You got to edit the book. You got to market the book. You got to build a community. You got to publish the book, right? There's all these different steps. You can't just decide I'm going to have a book out by Christmas and be like, yeah, it's magically going to happen. I just told the universe what I want. Poof, a book's going to happen. No, there actually needs to be some inspired action, which one of it is sit your ass down and write the damn book. Like you need to really sit down and just write. It's amazing to me. And I know that sounds so simple, but it's amazing to me how many people will say, I'm going to write a book. And I'm like, let me see your calendar. And they're like, what? I'm like, let me see your calendar. And I'll look at their calendar and there's absolutely no time for writing. First of all, they either don't have any space and they're like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm like, so let's talk about how this works. The inspired action comes from what is the piece that's mine to show up in the vibration and frequency that says, if this is the thing I want, what's my part? The inspired action is your part. The inspired action is you showing up from a place of responsibility and accountability and ownership to say, I get it. So here's the thing, and I'll use the example. I use the example of Amazon a lot when I'm talking about things we want to call in and manifest, right? Because we trust Amazon a whole lot more than we trust the universe oftentimes. We will put something out there, and Amazon, your role is, okay, I got to choose the thing. I got to choose the size, the color, the thing. I get to decide if I want Prime, how I want it delivered, whatever. I'm putting all the parameters in step by step. It's kind of, it's inspired action. And then I get to choose, then I choose to pay for it, right? I am putting the energetic alignment, which is the equal and the equal exchange of that monetary value. I am then paying and and then I just trust that it's going to show up. I did my part. The universe, though, we do one of two things. Like I said, we throw it out there and then we just expect it to magically show up like unicorns are just dancing around, sprinkling pixie dust everywhere, that all we got to do is speak truth and then it shows up. Now, some people, that feels like they're doing that, it's because they've been energetically and vibrationally aligned to the thing they're calling in. So it seems like it's effortless because they've done the work, the inspired action to get themselves energetically aligned so that their frequency and their vibration match the thing they're calling in. They also have learned how to hand over the driver's seat so that they don't need to be in a space where they got to tightly control it. What happens is inspired action is not a space where you are controlling shit. Inspired action is a space of deep trust and surrender. Inspired action says, I am feeling called that this is an example. I had no plans of going live and here I am. It felt inspired based on what was coming through today. There's no other reason that I'm just showing up, sharing a message with y'all today. Inspired action. I am not controlling anything. There is no agenda. There is no outcome. Period. It is just something that felt like I had a message I wanted to share and everything said, you know what? Go live, show up, and just speak your truth. That is the course of inspired action. It is not about grabbing the reins and trying to control how the hell the thing comes to you. And it's so interesting to me because we go to Amazon and we order the thing and whatever. And then we're like, okay, 2 days it shows up at your house. Great. You just know. You trust. Again, we trust Amazon far more than we trust the universe sometimes. But when we don't sit there and say, I wonder if they put it, if they're sending it USPS or if they're sending it through UPS or if they're sending it FedEx, we don't care. However, when we put something out in the universe, instead of worrying about our piece, which is our energy, our alignment, our frequency, and the inspired action that's calling us, propelling us forward, we start going, well, I think they should have put it on this shipment. I think they should have done it this way. They should have packaged it this way. You know what? I'm going to just take over because I don't think the universe is going to deliver it to me the way it is. And then we start to create the busy. We start to create all of the actions that are not aligned and how we need to show up to do our part. So inspired action is very different. Inspired action is the request. It is the whisper. It is the urge, the nod, the download that says, so when you say, what is my part right now? If this is the thing, if this is the desire, what's my part now? What can I take action on? Show me, reveal to me. And you will get, if you quiet down, if you listen, you will get a knowing based on your strategy and authority on what is the right thing around how you show up, what that looks like for you, and it will feel very different. It will honestly feel inspired. It will feel as if there is a force or an energy that is actually propelling you forward. It will feel juicy, sometimes a little scary, and you will know the difference. Inspired action is that space of you being connected into your own strategy and authority. It is that space that shows up that says, the universe whispers, Candy, this is what I need you to do. I got you. I'm going to bring this to you. Here's your part. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to believe. And that's a big inspired action. And that's not as simple as it sounds. I need you to energetically be in a space to receive what I'm about to bring you. This or something better, right? It is this bigger piece of being able to believe it and receive it. And so when you say this is the thing, when the desire is sitting out there, your role is one, to figure out what you need to do to get energetically aligned so that your vibration and frequency are matching and You have the job of creating the mindset that says, I can believe and receive this, that I can hold this when it comes in, that I can receive it at the highest level of gratitude. And sometimes the inspired action is creating that gratitude practice that is showing that you can call this in. Hey, Carolyn, absolutely wanting to follow the path of inspiration versus the path of all the shooting and shaming and the hustle and the bullshit and the busy that we put all over ourselves. The energy of inspired action feels different. So what it is the calling that propels you forward, that's absolutely aligned to the thing you say you desire most, and it's putting you in the frequency and vibration to call that forward. It is allowing you to be in a space to believe, receive, and do your part. That is why it matters. It matters. And this is why when you feel stuck, or when you feel like something's not showing up, or you feel like, oh, I asked and it didn't happen, it's because you're monkeying around with one aspect of it that's not yours. You're trying to decide that the package needs to come UPS when it was already on a shipment from FedEx and it's already en route. So the universe is like, okay, well, you want chaos, you want something to happen, I'm going to pull it out. And so that action for the sake of action is causing you struggle. It's causing you stress. It's causing you the overwhelm, the burnout, the busy, which is the buried under shooting yourself. It is creating that ultimate 4-letter word. So my call for you, my invitation for you is, one, get really clear on that desire. Get clear on the thing that you say you want. Most of the time, what we're asking for is not the thing we really want. And like I just shared in a couple of examples, it's amazing to me. People are like, well, I want this thing. I'm like, so why do you want that? And the why, and I'm going to talk about this another day, the what, why, and who. I work with clients on this all the time, but the why is your why. It's not everybody else's why. It's not your spouse's why. It's not your kids' why. It's not society's why. It's not your boss's why. It's not anything outside of you. The why is, why does that matter for you? If this is the thing, if this is the thing that's tugging on your heartstrings, and this is the thing that's calling to you, and that whisper doesn't always roar. It's a whisper for a reason. We got to get still and quiet in our own being. We have to understand who we are. And I will say, for some of you, if you're like, I don't know who I am right now, I don't know what I want, that's okay. I've been in that space. I've had moments, especially through this pandemic, where I have struggled with my own sense of, what is my next direction? What do I want to call in? What do I really desire? Because I had to work through destroying the noise and blowing up the bullshit of what I thought I wanted based on what everybody has told me my whole life. And I have had periods throughout my life where I've had to peel that back. Because when I get honest, I'm like, no, this is what I want. This is what really matters to me. And this is why. This is why my why is my why. And this is why it's compelling for me. And my heart feels so aligned to that. My entire being lights up when I think about that, that I can't not take this action. That's when it's, it's inspired action. When you just know you have to, not because you're putting the shooting all over yourself, like, I have to, I got to, I need to. That's not the kind of energy I'm talking about. It's that I have to, because I have to, because I have to, because this is who I am, and I don't know how to do something different, and I can't shake this, and I need to on a visceral level, because it's everything that matters to me. This is what I need to do right now. That is the essence of inspired action. It's that calling, that urge, that thing that wakes you up at 2 a.m. where you're like, why can't I shake this? Because the whisper keeps trying to tap you on the shoulder saying, I need you to take some different action. It's not the bullshit that you've been whining and grinding on. It's not the stuff you're hustling around. I need you to show up in a space to trust me to guide you to take the action that's really aligned. And so with that, I hope you will give yourself some space, some grace, some stillness to start listening to that whisper, to start to recognize the desire that's pulling you forward, and allow yourself space based on your own strategy and authority on how you can take the right inspired action that is going to help you stay aligned as fuck in that space. And again, for those of you that are interested and want to learn how to do this, or want to do this in a deeper container and not by yourself, check out my Dare to Awaken Your Dynamic Dream. We are running enrollment through this week. It's going to close on Sunday, but this is the space to do this work. It's going to get you super clear on that desire. And oftentimes that's the first place we got to start, because the desire in itself is not aligned. The desire in and of itself is not provoking that compelling why of who you're choosing to be. It's not connected to your what, why, and who. And I'll talk about that on another video. You don't have an understanding of the thing itself or what it takes to make that a reality. And then there's real work we need to do to get ourselves energetically and vibrationally aligned to match the frequency of what we want to call in. And from there, the inspired action just drops in. That's where it gets easy. That's where it gets delicious, right? It just drops when you are in alignment with yourself. So with that, everybody, happy Valentine's Day. It's Candy. Just know I love all of you. Hope you are doing something to fill your own cup today. I hope you recognize, I just repurposed a blog post that I had written, I think a couple years ago, around you being your own soulmate. So today, regardless of what you may have planned for the holiday, I want you to do a little self-love. I want you to lean in and offer yourself some unconditional love today. Do something that's going to fill your cup. Do something that feels inspired, even if it's coloring or playing or dancing or moving or whatever it might be. And I will catch up with y'all later on the next one. Talk to you soon, and we'll get this cut up going here. Here we go.